What's going on, YouTube? We're back with another video. Today I'll be doing my playoff seeding for the NFC. Later today I'll be posting AFC, and then I'll do playoff predictions. And then also before the game tomorrow I'll be doing over-under picks for season total wins, and then I'll probably make a pick for the game tomorrow, and then I'll get to my week one picks probably Friday for the rest of the games, and they'll be against the spread. So yeah, be on the lookout for those. Let's get into this one. So for the 7th seed, I have the 49ers. I was kind of flip-flopping between them and the Seahawks. The main reason I stuck them this far back is because the quarterback situation concerns me, and I know that everybody's healthy now, but I'm worried that maybe one or two of those injured players might go through something similar. Fingers crossed, though. I think that their schedule is honestly not too bad, other than that they have to play against their own division, which is the best division. They have to play the NFC North and the AFC East, I believe, or AFC South. I think that they should be able to sweep the NFC North. They always are really good against the Packers. I don't think it'll change too much. I know the Packers are really good, but I think they'll probably win that game. I think they can beat everybody else in the NFC North. So for the AFC South, I think they should be able to win 3 out of 4 of those games for sure. I think if they don't win both, I think they should be able to win either one against the Colts or the Titans, and I think that they should be able to beat the Jaguars and the Texans pretty easily. But yeah, I think that they'll probably lose one of those games against the Colts or the Titans, and then their other 3 games they have are the Bengals, Falcons, and the Eagles. And I think they should be favored to win. Maybe they lose one of them, but I think those are all pretty easy for their non. So every team has to play against 2 other divisions, the whole division, and then their own division twice, and then they have 3 other games, and those are the other 3 are Falcons, Bengals, and Eagles, and I think those are all like really easy. They kind of got lucky. And I think they'll probably split the games in conference. For some reason, the Seahawks are always really good against them, and so I think they might go 0-2 against the Seahawks, and then 2-0 against the Cardinals, and then maybe split against the Rams. But I think that them splitting, going 50-50 is the most likely. And yeah, I just think the Seahawks them being so good against the 49ers and having them more than likely win both those games. I think that if there is a tiebreaker, they'll take it. And so I'm going to have 3 playoff teams from this division. That's how good it is. So yeah, they're my 7th. The Cowboys, this is probably a bold take. I have them as the 6th seed. They've got the 2nd easiest strength of schedule at 31. So I think that should be a reason why that they squeak in here. There's a lot of injury concern, but I think that most of them stay healthy. I think the O-line stays healthy for the most part. Fingers crossed, Dak's fine. A little worried he might get punished tomorrow by the Bucks, but Hopefully not. They're three, so they have to play the NFC South and the AFC West. And then their other three games are the Vikings, the Cardinals, and the Patriots. So those are kind of tough games, honestly. Vikings, Cardinals, Patriots. They're all kind of in the same tier as them. You would hope that they'd at least go 2-1 in those, but yeah, I could see them either going 1-2 or 2-1 in those. Yeah, those will all be good games. NFC South, I think they should be able to win 3. Bucks probably gonna lose, but I think that they should be able to take care of the rest of them. And then in division, I think that they should be favored to beat every team other than the football team. I know it's in division, and so they'll probably never be easy wins, but I just think that they go 4-2. 5-1's a stretch. I think they'll probably go 4-2 in division. And as for the AFC West, they're kind of a sneaky division. The Chiefs, obviously, that one's gonna be tough. Chargers up and coming this year. Not the biggest fan of the Raiders and the Broncos. I think that they're not horrible, but I think the Cowboys are a little bit better if everything works out for them. So I think they can split that division for sure, if not go 3-1. Chargers is the only game that's kind of a toss-up for me. And then they're probably going to lose to the Chiefs. I'm obviously going to predict the Chiefs to win most games. So I think that they squeak by with either 10-7, 9-8, and then they beat out a tiebreaker because their conference record should look good. Since they have the NFC South, and I believe they'll go 3-1, and then their in-division record will be 4-2. So they'll have a really good NFC record, which plays into the tiebreaker factor. So yeah, I think they'll be able to win the tiebreaker against another 9-8, 10-7 team. So yeah, they are my number 6. We got the Seahawks next. I talked about them a little earlier. I think that for whatever reason, they just know how to beat the 49ers. And I'm just a little more confident in them for in division. Russell's very experienced playing this division for a while. 49ers, they don't really know their quarterback situation as much. Rest of the team worries me a little bit. I do like their offense a lot. I like Carson. DK and Lockett are solid. The line is good enough, but it's probably... I'm a little worried that it might just be Russ running for his life again against some of the D-lines like the Rams and the 49ers. Cardinals is pretty solid too. But somehow Russell always gets it done for the most part. So other than the 2 extra divisions they play the Steelers, the Saints, and the Washington football team. A little tougher than who the 49ers have to play. If I had to bet, I think they would go 2-1 in those games. The Steelers defense might be a little scary, but I think they can get that one done. I think the one that they'd most likely lose is against the Washington football team, solely because that defense will just get after it. I think they could beat the Saints. That would be a shootout type game. And then I think that they'd also be able to go 3-1. 3-1 against the AFC South. I think they're one of the weaker divisions. Colts and Titans are solid, but they're not powerhouse brands by any means. And then the Texans and the Jaguars are just so bad. I think those are 2 easy wins. I think they'll win one of 2. Split those games against the Titans and Colts. If not, win both of them. Split them at the worst. And then in division, I think that they'll beat the 49ers both times, and then either lose the Rams both times, split them, and then either win both times against the Cardinals or split. And so that puts them around the same record as the 49ers, but they'll have the tiebreaker since they won both games. So yeah, and that's why I got them 5th. 4th, we got the Washington football team. Sorry, I couldn't find a graphic for their new logo. Defending champs. I read a stat the other day that nobody has repeated the division title in the NFC East in like 20 years or something, which is crazy, but I guess it always just is a cycle of different teams winning. So the Redskins have the NFC South and the AFC West that they got to go through, and then their other 3 games are pretty tough. It's the Bills, the Packers, and the Seahawks, which is kind of scary. They could lose all those games. I think that they should win one of them. Maybe squeak out 2, probably not. I don't see them beating the Bills. Josh Allen's pretty good against pressure, which is their biggest asset. So is Rodgers. I think that they could maybe beat the Seahawks, but I'm kind of liking them in that game. I'm not sure why. I think that they don't have... I think the Seahawks don't have the defense to stop Fitzpatrick. I think that Fitzpatrick would be good against the Seahawks. Don't have a good secondary. He's kind of a gunslinger. And then their defense should be able to push it around that Seahawks offensive line pretty easily. So I think they'll win that game. More than likely lose the other 2. Maybe squeak out a win in a different one. And then they have the NFC South, which I'm not too high on the NFC South. Some people really like the Saints a lot. I do like Jameis Winston. I think that he'll be able to work out eventually. I just think it'll take some time. I think that they should be able to win that game. It'll be pretty close, but I think that they'll edge out a win. And then I think that they'll beat the Panthers and the Falcons pretty easily. Maybe one of them's close, but I think that they're definitely favored to win both those. And then they looked pretty good against the Bucs in the playoffs last year, but I don't think that they're going to win that game. But 3-1 NFC South. I think that the AFC West is either a split or they go 3-1, kind of like the Cowboys. I think that they should be able to beat the Broncos and the Raiders. Could lose one of them, but I personally think that they should be able to win both those. And then Chiefs will be tough. Don't think they'll win that probably. Chargers a toss-up. So yeah, that's more than likely them going 50-50, if not better. And then in division, I think they should really be able to take advantage. I think that they probably are the weakest division in football, or the AFC South. I think that the Cowboys, they're just kind of hard to predict how good they're going to be. They should be good with their team on paper, but defense is a little skeptical. and theirs is not. Cowboys have the better offense, but I think that they should be able to get after it against all three teams on defense, and that's how they're going to win games. I think that they should be able to go 4-2 at the worst, if not 5-1, maybe even 6-0. Probably not, but I'm giving them at least a 4-2 record, and I think that that'll win them the division. Biggest question is those other three games against the Seahawks and the Packers and the Bills. If they lose all three of those, it could be the Cowboys taking home the division crown, but I personally have them winning. So for the third seed, we got the Packers. Probably would have had them higher. I know a lot of people are saying that they will be first or second. I think the strength of schedule really comes into play for me why they aren't. They got to go through the Nfc West and the Afc North, two of the probably the best two divisions, both totally stacked. I think that they'll probably win. They'll probably be over 500 in all those games, which says a lot, but they're definitely going to lose some of them too. They have a pretty tough time against the 49ers. I'm sure they'll lose another one too, whether it's Seahawks or Rams. Probably beat the Cardinals. But I think that they have a good chance of splitting that. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up for me of them going 3-1 or 2-2 in the NFC West. AFC North, it's also tough. They'll beat the Bengals, but all the other three, the Steelers have a really good front seven. They'll be tough for them, even though their O-line's pretty good. Bakhtiari out for at least a decent chunk of the start of the season. And I'm also worried about how they match up against the Browns and the Ravens. I think they should be able to take advantage of the blitz-heavy defense that the Ravens always do. It's their bread and butter. Rodgers is pretty good under pressure, unless the line just completely crumbles, kind of like they did at times against the Bucs in the NFC Championship. So, if they hit home and the line really looks bad, then I'm worried. I'm more confident of them going 3-1 in the AFC North than I am in the NFC West. But yeah, those are really tough. NFC North, they usually dominate. I think they'll probably go 4-1 or 5-1, maybe 6-0. It's kind of hard to sweep your division though. I think they'll sweep the Lions and probably the Bears. If Justin Fields is playing good later in the season, and their defense looks good, you never know, but I think that they most likely sweep the Bears too. I think that the most likely split for them to have is the Vikings. They beat them last year. Their run defense is a little suspect, so Cook should be able to take advantage. But yeah, I think that they probably should be either 6-0 or 5-1. And then there are other games. There are 3 games that aren't playing the whole division. Saints, Washington, and Chiefs. Though the Chiefs are pretty tough, and I think they'll probably beat the Saints and probably beat the Washington football team as well. I think they'll go 2-1 in those games, 5-1 in the North, and then I'm worried about those AFC North and NFC West games mostly. I think they might end up going 12-5, 13-4, just because they have to go through 8 teams, 2 really good divisions, So they're probably going to add a few losses there. And so, yeah, they're my third seed. Coming in at number 2, we got the Rams winning the division in the Nfc West. They have a pretty tough schedule compared to the other NFC West teams. They have to go through the NFC North, AFC South, which is pretty easy. AFC South, you got 2 cakewalk games with the Texans and the Jaguars. And then Colts, you don't know if they're going to work out that well. Their defense should be solid. Offensive line solid. Running back solid, but receiver, quarterback, we're hearing Wentz is going to be back sooner than the timetable, the range. He's going to be coming back at the earliest of what their timetable range was. So that's good for the Colts. And I think I'm hearing the same thing for Quentin Nelson too. So those are both good. If Carson Wentz clicks with their offense, then the Colts could be good, but we just don't know. I think the Titans are a safer pick for winning that, but we'll get onto that in the AFC video. However, I think that the Rams should probably sweep the AFC South, maybe lose to the Titans. I think they should sweep the NFC North as well, maybe lose to the Packers. They seem to have the Packers seem to have the Rams figured out, but I also think that Matthew Stafford changes a lot. I think Matthew Stafford, he always is close to beating the Packers on the Lions. So you'd think if he has a team like the Rams, that would make it a lot easier. So I think that kind of changes everything. I guess the Packers are good at shutting down the Rams' defense. But also, I think people forget to mention that Aaron Donald was kind of injured in that playoff game where he just totally got swallowed up by Elgton Jenkins. Didn't look like himself at all. So he might be out for revenge. I'd like the Rams to beat the Packers in that game if everyone's healthy. And so, yeah, I think they'll sweep the North and the South. They have the Giants, Ravens, and Bucks for their other 3 games. I think that they'll go 2-1. I'd like them to beat the Ravens, even though that's kind of a coin flip game. But I think they're more likely gonna lose to the Bucks than the Ravens, and I'm gonna put them 2-1 in those games. And then I think they're also gonna lose a couple games in division. 49ers are going to be a tough matchup, so are the Seahawks. I think they lose 1 or 2 games. So, they couldn't even lose more. But I think that they most likely go 4-2 in division. And then they could lose to the Packers. I think they'll lose to the Bucks. And so they'll probably be 14-3, 13-4. Number 1, I've got the Bucks. I already have the best roster. I think it's kind of hard to debate that they don't. And then they also have top 4 easiest schedule. They play the NFC East and the AFC East. I think they're going to be heavily favored in every NFC East game. Maybe Washington might be a little close. They played them pretty well in the playoffs last year, but I think that they'll sweep that with no problem. AFC East, I also think that they should be favored to win all those games. I think the Bills game will be close, but I just don't think the Bills have the D-line to give Tom Brady, make him feel any heat at all. And then on defense, the Bucs defense just overmatches the Bills offense just by a little bit. Josh Allen is one of the better quarterbacks under pressure, but I think that their front seven might be a little too much for him. And then they don't really care about their running game. So I think that the Bucs pass rush is so good, and especially with not even have to worry about their run game, I think that they should win that game. I think that'll be the closest one, definitely. That'll be a fun game, though. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited for the Patriots game, Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady again. That one could be closer than the odds probably will say. And then there are three other games that are out of division are the Bears, Colts, and Rams. They should win all those games. Rams will be a really good game. Top two seeds, in my opinion, going at it. I like the Bucs defense so much. They just have so much talent. They brought back everyone. They know how to get after the quarterback. Matt Stafford, he's broken down a little bit. I don't know if he'll be able to escape all the pass rushers on the Bucs side. So I think that the Bucs should probably win that game. And then also in Division 2, I think that they're just so much better of a roster and well coached. I'm not too high on the Panthers and the Falcons. They're still kind of in the rebuilding stage. Saints, I think, are better than most people expect. But I still think that they're no match for the Bucs. I know the Bucs looked pretty bad against the Saints last year in the regular season. But I think that they most likely sweep their division 5-1. To be safe, I'll say 5-1. I think they'll probably lose a game to the Saints, but it could be anybody. It's pretty tough to sweep the division. But yeah, I think that they're going to be probably 14-3, 15-2, maybe even 16-1. I don't see them losing many games, but they could lose a game to somebody like the Colts or the Bills or the Rams. So yeah, I'm not going to say that they're going to go 17-0, but they're probably favored to win every game as of now. And yeah, I think they're probably the best team in the whole league, with Chiefs coming in at a close second. So yeah, easy first seed Bucs for me. Honorable mentions, I've got the Vikings, Cardinals, and Saints. I think the Vikings could have squeezed in at a 7th or 6th seed, but their schedule's just too tough. They've got to also, like the Packers, they got to go through the NFC West and the AFC North. Those two are probably easily the best divisions. They both have 3 playoff caliber teams, if not 4 for the NFC West. So those are 7 games that are really tough. And then on top of that, you have to play the Packers twice. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll win a few of those 9 games, but it's just so tough. And then they also have to play Cowboys, Panthers, and Chargers. Chargers are another fringe playoff team, 7th or 6th seed. The Cowboys are no easy contest either, although I think they'll win that game. But it's kind of a coin flip. I think that, well, we'll see how good the Chargers are, but I think that they are more likely to beat the Cowboys than the Chargers. I think they're out for revenge after losing to them last year, the Andy Dalton. But yeah, I think that they're going to be like 8-9, 9-8, 7-10, and not make it. Cardinals, kind of the same thing. They'll probably be around that 9-8, 8-9 range. Schedule's just a little too tough. I don't think Kyler's quite ready. Offensive line still needs to get a little better. Playing the NFC North, AFC South, which I think that is. I think the NFC West, their strength of schedules, if their division wasn't so tough, they would be pretty low. Because I don't think the NFC North and AFC South are that strong. And then besides that, they have the Browns, the Panthers, and the Cowboys, which I think that they'll either be 2-1, 1-2. I think they'll beat the Panthers. I think the Browns and the Cowboys are a little bit better than they are. So yeah, that's why they're in here. They're probably gonna lose to more games in the NFC North and the AFC South than everybody else in their division is. And then I think they play pretty good in division games, but I just think their ceiling is probably gonna be 3-3, maybe 4-2 if they look really good. But I just can't put them in. It'd be pretty tough to have 4 teams in the playoffs from the same division, because I already have 3. And I think the Cardinals are the weakest link in that division. It kind of just stinks that they're in that division, or else they'd probably be able to make it. And then I got the Saints. They've got a pretty easy schedule. They got the NFC East and the AFC East. I think they'll be able to win a lot of games in the NFC East. Maybe 3. Could be 2. I think 3 is the most likely. I think that Jameis Winston will work in the offense. Alvin Kamara is amazing. Their O-line's really good. It's all about that Jameis Winston transition and if it's going to work or not. Defense is still pretty good. Lost a couple pieces, but I think it's still fine. And they're always well coached. I think that they should be still, 9-8, 8-9, 10-7, somewhere in that range. I think in division they'll lose to the Bucks probably both times. Could beat them once. I think they'll probably lose a game against the Panthers or the Falcons. I think that they're looking at going 4-2, 3-3 in division. They've got the Titans, Seahawks, and Packers for their other 3 games, and I think that is what really kills them, because they could easily lose all those games. And then they'd really have to make up for it by beating up the weaker links in their division, Panthers and Falcons, and then they'd have to beat up the NFC East and AFC East, and I just don't think they're going to be able to come out well over 500 enough to make the 7th seed. So yeah, that's why I don't have any of these 3 in it. That's my NFC division winners, wildcard teams. I'm going to make my AFC playoff standings immediately after I post this video. And then I think during that video, I'll also do my playoff predictions. And then before tomorrow's game, I'll do my predictions for over-under season total wins from the Bovada bookie, and I'll make my pick for the Cowboys-Bucks game, and then Friday I'll be putting out my season awards. I know that's a day late, but I got a little too busy, and then also picks for week 1. So be on the lookout. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.